Okay guys, so I'm back here. So this is going to be my recap video. So initially I did this cut test. The cut test was to see, was to test the razor sharp edge holding capabilities of these two knives. So you have your working edge, how long a knife can cut, how many pieces of rope it can cut while still cutting, printer paper. But this, we've always heard people saying, well, this still holds a razor edge longer than this steel, but this still holds a working edge longer than this steel. Okay, so I wanted to test the razor edge holding capability of these, not the working edge. So I set out to do the test, cutting through cardboard until it would no longer reliably slice this paper towels, And initially the Leek had won with 60 cuts versus the 48 cuts of the Valet. But then when I was going through the recap video, the Valet was actually cutting the paper towel better. And then I went through phone book. They both easily went through phone book paper, but that should be how it is though, because this is still a razor sharp edge, okay? Because we didn't go to the end like with the rope cut test, just until it would stop cutting paper towel. And then I went to shaving my arm hair. This thing shaved off more arm hair easily than this one did. Okay, so then I realized I need to redo this test. So I didn't start over. I just started off where I left off, and from that point on, the Leek did another 10 cuts before it just completely died. And the Valet did another 55 cuts. So we have the winner changed hands here. The winner now is the Valet with 103 total cuts versus the 70 on the Leek. Okay. Now with this test here, there was different parameters with these things. They behaved in very different ways. With the Leek here, it was cutting through the paper towel easier to begin with because it can take a finer edge. But as it was wearing down for the first, 15 to 20 cuts, this was actually doing better than the Valet. So for the first, 20, 25 cuts up to that point, maybe 30 cuts even, this was the better cutter. And then that's when this one started going down. Around the 20 cut mark, I thought this was done. I mean, it was having a hard time going through. So this actually maintained the razor edge better initially. So for the first couple dozen cuts. And that could be attributed to how thin the edge is on here. This has very good edge geometry. And it has that razor steel that has a really fine grain. So you don't have those, thick, those heavy, hard carbides in there. Where this one here, it was struggling from the beginning because it doesn't get as sharp as the Leek. This one here, it's actually thicker behind the edge than the Leek. It doesn't have the awesome geometry that this Leek has, although it still has good geometry. So this one, it did well for the first 5 or 10 cuts, but then I thought it was going to die shortly after that, but it kept going to 48. But the thing is, this one held on to that razor edge longer in the end. Although this one had a sharper edge to begin with because it's a thinner knife stock, this one ended up winning. So this one actually held its edge better in the long run. So just to show where we're at here, to see if they're both equally dead again, I'm going to cut through the paper towel again. Okay, so they're cutting through better now than they were when I stopped again. But let's see. So you can see it catches, it's pretty much over for that guy. This one here, this one actually slides into the paper towel easier. And that's probably because of the carbides. It just bites into it a little bit more, so it goes deeper in the initial cut. Let me try it again. This is just to show where they were at after the test here, okay? So it looks like this one died down more now. So they're both relatively dead, but they both still get through. But just to show where they're at, here's phone book paper. Alright, there we go. So you can still see it can cut phone book paper. So it still has a good edge on it still, okay? Now for the Leek. It still cuts foam paper well, as you can see. It does a good job. It has some catches on there, but this has a really thin blade stock, so it still cuts pretty good. Okay. And now just to do like what we do at the end of the rope test, we'll cut through printer paper. So you can see how easily it's cutting through the printer paper. So this is nowhere near as dull as these would be after the rope cutting test. Okay, so you can see how they both cut through the printer paper no problem. So that just shows you the degree of sharpness they're still at. If this was on the rope test, these would still have a long way to go. So that's the end of my video. I had expected the Leek to win, but in the end the Valet pulled ahead. So in the end, 103 cuts versus 70 cuts for how long it will hold its razor sharp edge. Let me just try shaving some hair really quick. Okay, I took off about a dozen hairs. One took off about almost like a half dozen hairs. So that's the weird thing. This one is shaving better. So either way, we have a winner here, the Valet. So let me know what you guys think. It's a long video, so that's why I did this recap one, and I'm going to post this separately so you guys can see what the results were, and then you guys can view the video footage to see how it was done. So thank you guys for watching again. Let me know what you guys think. Thank you guys. Bye.